So hello, everyone. We're back again. I'm Kayla Strong. I'm working with NLP Marin, and I'm here with Carl Buchheit. He is the founder of Transformational NLP and the co-founder of NLP Marin. Hi, Carl.
Hi, Kayla.
We're
Nice to
back.
be back. We're back. Yes, I think perhaps we never went anywhere, but we're definitely back.
We're definitely back here again. So today we're going to be talking about the difference between transformational NLP and other therapeutic modalities and change modalities. And I know that you have created a full training and curriculum all for change in an artful and lasting and really, really beautiful way with transformational NLP. But we're going to talk about what is the difference between transformational NLP and some other modalities.
Excellent
Ready?
question. Yes, I'm
Great.
just fastening the top of my head back down onto my skull there while trying to do that without anybody noticing.
Okay.
So you go. Is that the question? Oh, okay.
No, the question is, what do traditional therapeutic modalities overlook or not have access to?
Okay. So if we're talking about traditional talk therapy, which is just gigantic context, there's so many variations and specializations, and so it's disrespectful to just call it one thing called traditional talk therapy, but we have this can be really beautiful work, and it can be absolutely life-saving. And there is a dimension to human experience that the transformational NLP model makes available that conventional therapy just straightforwardly, I can say, just doesn't know about, doesn't know the information is available. Talk therapy is an art form based on the exchange of verbal content. And there's science in it too. I don't mean to diminish that, but it's an art form. And there's an energetic component to it, and an artful emotional component to it. I mean, it's really beautiful stuff. Beautifully done. It's remarkable. Done in a kind of way. It's kind of like everything. What NLP adds in is a wherewithal for the practitioner to be able to notice and make really straightforward use of not just information about what the client is experiencing, and maybe a little bit about why. These questions, what are you experiencing and why is this going on? Why, these are important questions. We're not dismissing those, but then we add in information in a whole new frame, which is how is our system, which is just convenient slang for our nervous system, and our identity and our connection to whatever is outside of physical boundaries and so forth. How is that functioning to create the experience? Not just what is it causing, what's it creating, not just why, well, it's because this happened back there and so forth, but how is it being generated right now? It's not an original observation to say that all human experience is being created right now. Right now, right now, right now. So if someone has some really difficult past experience that is in their way, and most of us have something and some of us have huge things, that past is being generated in our nervous system, in our consciousness right now. It's not being generated in the past, it's being created now. And if we have an expectation of future difficulty or trouble or loss or unpleasantness, and this is limiting our sense of freedom or our sense of having the power to choose what we want in life, that future difficulty that's being generated right now. So what the NLP model adds in, because of what the founders noticed and put together and correlated and systematized way back in the 1970s, what it adds in is information about how the person's brain, and I say brain, it's not just their brain, it's their whole system, how the person's brain is creating the limitation now, or creating the opening and the possibility now when we get to revise things. There's a big difference between asking someone, so what's going on? And they say, well, I've been really, really, really afraid lately. And then the therapist asks, tell me more. Yeah. There's a difference between those inquiries and those inquiries that can make use of the information that comes from the person's voice and their face. I don't mean facial indication of emotion per se. Everyone who does this kind of work has a good touch for that. But information about how their brain, how the client's brain is using pictures and sounds and feelings and smells and tastes to generate present state experience. If someone says, I'm really afraid, and you say, okay, what are you afraid of? And all you have is verbal content, then we're relying on the self-report of the client to answer that question. A really skillful therapist can kind of sift through a lot of things and get down to something really, really important. We add in even the basics of the NLP model, and we can see the person's brain in action. We can hear their person's brain in action, not because of the content of the words, but because of certain tonal fluctuations that indicate activation in different parts of the brain and different aspects of the body. And so one doesn't just have a report about what the client is experiencing. One also has, in a really, really, really simple way, one has kind of a printout of how their brain is doing it. I know it's not I know, it'd be like, as the practitioner, one observes every time the person talks about this fear, the brain is making a bunch of past pictures and listening to soundtracks that seem to be from long ago and far away. Wonder what those are. The person is not consciously aware of any of that because we're not designed to be consciously aware of that. So where we come in on the program is with the feeling or the limitation or the fear or the distress. The well-trained practitioner of transformational NLP can observe how our brain just did it. And when they observe how our brain just did it, that makes it something that we can kind of just put there on the table and then start to make some adjustments in, not in an inhuman mechanical way, but it makes it possible. Oh, I see, your brain keeps making that picture. Wonder what other picture might be more useful that it could make. Now, good talk therapy will assist the person to sort of naturally over time start to make different pictures. But NLP can make that really, really, really direct. So that's one thing that's really different.
Thank you. How?
I had a chance quite a long time ago to learn a lot from a really brilliant therapist. And this person invited me to be part of the supervision group that they were conducting. And I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot about doing this kind of work from these people. It was really a privilege to get to be there. And then simultaneously, I also went kind of crazy because the group was discussing what might be going on with one person or another's clients. And they were having to use surmises and guesses and hypotheticals about what could be going on that would cause this experience and that discussion was fascinating, but it was all it was a guess. It was, if I could have had the person they're talking about in front of me for 1 minute. I could have showed them exactly what was going on. Now, I wouldn't have been mind reading. I just would have said, well, this is how the person does it. Their brain is making this picture, and then it loads up that soundtrack, and it generates this feeling, and that cascades over into this next picture, and then it crashes over into this place. And where would you like to intervene in all that? I so wish that these people could have been learning what I already knew, but this was not the arrangement. Yeah. So I was the beneficiary of their experience. That's for which I am still grateful, as I hope I'm making clear.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
But oh my God, I wanted them to know.
You're like, but go ahead and call the client. Call him in right now.
Yeah, call him. Just get him. There were,
Get him here, stat.
Yeah. Fly them out from where are they in the Midwest? Get them out here right now. I'll show you.
Thank you. So the next question is, what is an internal come from or stance of transformational NLP that might be different from from traditional therapeutic modalities? So what's the different stance or come from?
Really excellent traditional therapy probably shares the foundational stance. So I hesitate to offer this as if it's not included in really excellent conventional therapy, but so I can more describe what we presuppose and what we work with. First is that all experience is sourced out of some kind of intended positive outcome. No exceptions ever. The question there is like, who is the version of us that the really painful or limiting patterning is operating in service of? Like, who is our fear keeping safe? How old is that version of us? No, good therapy will often go unpack that really well. It takes a while because you have to talk your way over there. With even the basics of the transformational NLP model, you can watch it in action, like right in real time. And that makes it adjustable because we don't just have a toolbox for noticing, we have a toolbox for shifting the programming. And we have an immensely highly valued criterion to respect all of the person's experience. Now, that's not an unusual thing or a unique thing, but it's super primary for us. Part of this work involves assisting the client to come into more and more rapport with their own experience, to have more respect for what they are experiencing than probably they've been able to manage before, because they've been, so to speak, on the receiving end of the limitation or the pain, right? And they're pretty cranky about the experience that just keeps running, and that doesn't seem to be very changeable. And it's also hard on our morale when our human software, so to speak, keeps reproducing what we don't want in more and more original and mysterious ways sometimes, and there is a general, well, actually, I think I'll leave that answer there. There is some technique, and there is some information, and there is some skill, and there is a whole toolbox that's not part of conventional therapy. At least as far as I have been able to tell from what my clients share with me, and when therapists come to learn with us, almost universally, after the first few days, they kind of say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been a therapist for an insert number of decades here, and I haven't known this. So it's really important work, and we really like to make it available to people of all professions. and non-professions.
Thank you. So, and what is one tool or skill of transformational NLP that's different from different modalities?
The most striking thing is the ability to have information that lets one, if I'm speaking now to a practitioner, that lets one correlate observational information, external information that comes from the person's body, that comes from their voice, that comes from their breathing, to correlate what we can observe from the outside with certain events that are going on inside the client on the inside. People who are really, really good therapists, they have instincts about these things. And the instincts are, if they're really good, they're obviously really good. But there are some absolutely weirdly certain things that can be noticed from the outside that correlate with events on the inside, and that make revising the patterning on the inside easier because you know what you're revising from the outside. The word programming is in the title Neurolinguistic Programming for a reason. It sounds mechanistic and it sounds awful and it sounds like mind control. But if we are not silicon beings, we're not silicon computers, we're not digital devices. But imagine someone having to update programming on a computer without a keyboard or a mouse or a touch screen, right? All they had was intuition and really beautiful heart. And somehow that was supposed to get the programming to change on the computer. They could empathize with the computer. They could understand its problem. They could understand its limitation, but they couldn't actually go in there and go and hit enter. Now I'm oversimplifying, but not by an awful lot.
Yeah, thank you. That was a beautiful analogy. I think one of my favorite parts of NLP, Marin, and what I respect so much is everything that you're talking about, but also that it's a tool that goes on your belt that can go so complementary to all experience, even if you don't use it in a profession, but just in life and with other professions.
Yes.
I find that to be one of the most beautiful, and it really helps with the stance as well.
Thank you for people who are doing healing work, change work, counseling work, coaching work, transformational work of any kind. This material, it soaks into the empty places that those practitioners, no matter how good they are, they didn't even know they had empty spots. It soaks in right there, and it becomes a superpower that energizes everything that they're already doing. And it doesn't push away or negate anyone's expertise or know-how. It just enhances it. And for people who aren't doing this work and who might like to, it's just the most extremely streamlined and elegant way to be introduced to the art and science of revising, assisting people to understand and revise their experience. And anyone who comes to learn it, the courses are always two things. There's this toolbox for working with other people, but then there's this sort of incredibly intense personal transformation thing that can't help but happen, right? And it's difficult to describe how that is inevitable, but it is entirely inevitable. People who come in to learn how to work with other people end up having this extraordinary experience themselves, and they learn how to work with other people. And as you say, this is it adds something to the experience of being human that is really important and really beautiful and really useful, and everybody ought to have it.
I think so too. So this leads us to our very last question. And so you've been teaching and seeing clients and really developing this for over 40 years now. And what is something you want people to know about transformational NLP?
Thank you for that question. Whew, what a great question. I think my full answer to that probably takes about, I don't know, 24 days or something. What we want more than anything else is for people to know something about themselves, which is that they are not, no matter what they are experiencing, they're not broken, and they're not defective, and they're not faulty. There are really understandable reasons, which are ideas and concepts, which themselves don't change anything, but they're really understandable reasons for how it is that they're having the experience that they're having. What we want more than anything else was for people to be able to take a breath and ease up on the conflict they have with themselves, ease up at the war they've got going on with themselves because of how they are, or how they were, or how they imagine they're going to be. We want to make it easier and easier for people to be able to stop that war with themselves, to notice the precision and the beauty of what's been going on, even though it's been horrible, or even though it's just been dull or unfulfilling, and to respect themselves so much that they can include all of their experience in that respect. Especially what's always been out of reach can be respected and included as available, and the parts that have been so painful can be respected for the intended positive outcome that's been operating underneath all of that distress and all of that pain. And ultimately, it comes down to being so in rapport with ourselves, this is the way we talk about it, and with life itself, that we become like super willing participants in the ongoing creation of something that's better, and then something else that's better, and something that's better. And sometimes I summarize it with the kind of mystical sounding instruction to respect your incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts to get into the next level of things.
Well, thank you so much, Carl. Thank you for that.
Well,
thank you for all that you do in your life's work.
Well, thank you, Kayla. I appreciate
Yes.
it.
Well, thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you soon. If you want to learn more about Carl, about NLP Marin, and all that we're doing, please email us at info@nlpmarin.com or check out our website at nlpmarin.com. Cool.
Thank you.